and we just sit and eat Pringles on our beds and empty our stockings. And usually
they're like, Dad, this is lame. I'm like, no, this is tradition.
Through all of that, but the police couldn't, the snowplow drivers couldn't.
Julia, how am I supposed to take any of that
you can't. There's no editing to be done.
No.
I'm glad I went before Julia.
Welcome to a festive Prepared to Answer podcast. My name is Sean Walker, and I am joined, as always, by Scott Steen. How are you, Scott?
Good, Sean. Nice to see you again.
Good. And if you're watching on YouTube, you will see we have 3 more boxes. Yes. We have our guests for our festive edition of the Prepared to Answer podcast. And it's actually festive for a couple reasons. The first being, obviously, it's Christmas, so we're here to celebrate Christmas. But the second reason it's festive is because it was Scott's birthday yesterday. I don't know if you guys knew that. Yes.
Thanks. Thanks for remembering, everyone. Thank you.
Right. So, Scott, if you could just let us know what it's like to turn 30. That would be great.
Wow, it's fantastic. It feels the same as I feel like I'm still 29, to be honest, but hardly anything has changed.
Exactly. So we have some guests with us, Scott, that I am excited to introduce and get to know. We have some of the magic behind the Prepared to Answer team. Mm-hmm. We have Julia Pettipies with us, Becca Whipple, and our colleague Matt Belfay from True Snack. Matt is actually coming to us from Cue the Bagpipes, Scotland today. So we're excited to have a guest from across the pond. So I thought we'd start maybe by introducing our team. Julia, how long have you been with us at Prepared to Answer?
I've been here about 4 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
So Julia's actually been here longer than I have been on staff. Actually, you were the most senior Prepared to Answer staff apart from Scott. So Julia, what do you do with us here at Prepared to Answer?
I work in administration and also donor care. So I'm kind of the person that sends you those little emails and reminders when we're looking for information, maybe a missed email or a missed address when we're trying to send out receipts, things like that. And also just with our mailings, we send out many mailings throughout the year, and I help prepare those and get our volunteer stuffers set up for sending out those mailings. So
wonderful. So if you're a supporter of Prepared to Answer, it's quite possible that you have talked to Julia on the phone. I know, Julia, you've done some of our thank yous and all that. So Julia makes the magic happen behind the scenes, keeps the wheels turning for sure. And our next member, which is probably our newest, well, it is our newest, right, Scott? Becca Whipple.
Yes.
Yeah. And you've probably seen Mecca. You've probably seen Mecca. She's a Mecca.
Yeah.
Yes. You've probably seen Becca's touches on our Prepared to Answer podcast. She is the creative genius behind our podcast. And so welcome, Becca. And when did you join?
Yeah, I wish I had a mecha suit also. But no, so I joined in, I think it was April this year. Yeah. Yep. I don't know how many months that is, but that was when I joined.
Yeah, our newest member. So we're going to fly back over to the pond, introduce Matt. And actually, I want to say that we've done a podcast with Matt before. Is that right, Scott and Matt?
I think 2. I think this is the 3rd time I've joined. Yeah. So Matt is our colleague from Truth Snack. Great channel, lots of material on Truth Snack. We're going to talk a little bit about that today as we go into kind of our year in review and also kind of what we're looking forward to next year. We're going to do both Prepared to Answer and Truth Snack. Mm-hmm. But I thought maybe we could start with maybe some Christmas stories, maybe some Christmas traditions. Maybe I'll throw it over to you, Scott. Any Christmas traditions or stories?
Yeah, I was thinking about that. So in terms of current traditions in our family, I think a lot of people do these kinds of things. Christmas Eve, we always let the kids open one gift, and it's always pajamas. So every Christmas, the kids get a new pair of pajamas. So that's kind of fun. They look forward to that, and they kind of expect it now. So when are we opening our pajamas? The other Christmas tradition, and I will give all the credit to my wife for this, because this is not what I grew up with. I think this is just from her background. We wake up Christmas morning and we have a big breakfast. Like it's just, bacon, eggs, pancakes, sausage, fruit, and she usually makes sticky buns. It's kind of just, that's what we do. And there's no presents until breakfast is done. So it's kind of I don't mind. I don't have any trouble sitting still and eating all that wonderful food. Sometimes the kids just want to rush through it. I'm like, let's just slow down. Anyway, the tradition that from my growing up years, though, that, if you say, what's one memory from your childhood that you remember? I don't have any one particular, but the one tradition was my sister and I would get stockings. So we'd always get a sleeve of Pringles, because that filled up most of the stockings. But then my sister and I would usually get up around 5 a.m, and we knew that we were not to wake mom and dad. So I'd sneak into her room or she'd sneak in mine, and we'd just sit and eat Pringles on our beds and empty our stockings. And it was usually underwear and an orange and maybe candy canes or whatever. But we just eat the Pringles. Usually we'd eat them all before breakfast. So anyway, that's my memories. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And you know what? I would share the same big breakfast, but we couldn't hold ourselves back. Breakfast was always after gifts.
Oh,
but one part of breakfast, Christmas breakfast, and it was only Christmas breakfast, was we would have, and I don't know if you guys know this, blood pudding. Have you heard of that?
Oh,
black pudding.
Isn't that a Klingon dish?
No, I'm getting a nod from Matt.
Yeah, that's a thing Scotland. Over here for sure.
It's a Scottish thing. So this would be from my dad's side, was Scottish. And every Christmas we would bring out the blood pudding, and you cook it up, you fry it up.
So whose blood was it?
We didn't talk about that. We said, let's call it black pudding, and we're good with that. So it actually was usually only my dad and I don't even know if my mom or my brother ever had it, but I was told it was a Scottish thing. So Matt, any Scottish things since you've been over that is a little different maybe than from Canada in terms of Christmas traditions?
That's such a good question. And I feel like I haven't been here long enough to really tell. No. Like this, I've done one Christmas and I'm going into the second Christmas. But no, I mean, it's pretty typical. What is different is that, man, they know how to take holidays over here. Like they, like where a holiday week or something for us in North America would be like 1 week. Everything's like always 2 weeks. It's always like double as long somehow. Wow. So they love to relax around the holy days.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. And maybe some little bagpipe music. I think you were saying the other day, the Scottish love to keep the bagpipes going no matter what.
Every single like public event, parade, bake off, like I love it. Like anytime there's anything happening, there's always people piping. And so it's actually like, it's great because it's not just like a novelty here. It's just like a way that they live.
Yeah. That's awesome. Julia, how about the Pettit pieces? You guys got to have some good traditions, maybe some good Christmas stories.
Yeah, I mean, we're similar. The Christmas Eve, open one gift, and it's almost always pajamas. And Christmas morning, the big breakfast, and then presents. And of course, in the stockings, you could open up the stockings before breakfast. And there's always an orange in the stocking. Yes. And yes, Scott, same as you. Often there's underwear in the stockings.
When else do you get underwear? I don't know how you get underwear. I don't know. That's where it comes from.
And lots of candy, of course. But we're pretty traditional. We keep it the same every year. I do have a memorable story though from when I was about 12. And Becca, you may have to edit some of this out. It's a bit of a story, but it's cute. So I was about 12, and I grew up in the country, and back in the 70s and 80s, there was a lot of snowstorms that happened at Christmas. So it was very seldom did we have a green Christmas. We almost always had a white Christmas, and this one year was no exception. And my Nana, who lived in Oakville, was en route. And she didn't arrive. And of course, everyone's calling each other. They're calling the police 7, 8, 9 hours later. It's only a 2-hour drive from where we lived. No Nana. Well, the roads had closed. The snowplows were no longer out. The police were no longer out. No one was out. We thought she was no longer with us. Well, we get a call from the corner store, which was about 1.25 miles away in the country. And sure enough, my old Nana had made it through the snowstorm. She drove 9 hours with her head out the window
from Oakville.
I think her ear was like frozen solid. And so she's at the corner store. And this was actually in the papers, probably in the London Free Press back then. Everyone was stranded at this little store called Edgewood. And a buddy of mine I went to school with, he actually had to sleep in the bathtub because there was no more room. They had all these stranded people staying in their store. So anyway, we were all excited. My mom's crying. My Nana made it, but she wasn't quite at the house yet. So a kind neighbor went down on his skidoo, took my Nana, had an extra helmet, an extra snowmobile suit, bagged up all of her presents and threw the bag over his shoulder, put her around the front and drove her through the snow to our house. And it was, I'll never forget, it was the most joyous Christmas I think we'd ever had because my Nana was okay. Oh, nice. And to this day, that my relatives talk about how my Nana made it through all of that, but the police couldn't, the snowplow drivers couldn't.
Wow.
So, that was phenomenal. Awesome. So that's my Christmas story.
Christmas.
How am I supposed to take any of that out?
You can't. There's no editing to be done.
No.
I'm glad I went before Julia because
exactly. Well, Julia, that's like the perfect Canadian story, isn't that?
That's a very Canadian
snowmobile.
Story.
You got a country store. You've got lots of snow. What more do you want, right? Yeah. And as you're talking, and it's funny because you're saying what that was like the 70s or 80s, and you don't know where Nana is. You're like, we'll just call her on. Oh, there's no cell phones.
That's right. No cell phones.
No.
Back then, you called the police to look for a lost loved one. Yeah.
No, that's crazy. Becca, how about you? You've just moved into a new house this year, right? Yeah. Is that right? Yeah, that's exciting.
This is my cave, yes. I don't have anything nearly as exciting to share as Julia's story. But so in terms of like growing up, one thing that we still do, and I'm excited to host it in our house this year, is we make gingerbread cookies every year. So we come together and we decorate them and give some of them away because the batch is like enormous. And I don't know, that's always been like my favorite thing, some fun memories. And then in terms of, I guess after getting married, some like, it's not really, I don't know if this really counts as a Christmas tradition, but me and James like watching series of things. What do you call it? Okay. Last year we watched the extended Lord of the Rings trilogy.
Oh, yes.
In one night.
In one night. Oh, nice. Wow. That's impressive.
It was a lot of fun. And I think this year will be I don't know if I should share this or not. Die Hard will probably
nice. That's awesome. Yep. That's Christmas.
So, the other Christmas movie.
Yeah. It's a classic, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Right up there with Rudolph.
That's right. Yeah. What would Christmas be without Bruce Willis, right? So Christmas traditions for us, apart from our black pudding. So when I was a kid, what we would do is we would go to my parents' bedroom first before we went downstairs. So we'd go down the stairs to the Christmas tree. Dad would go first and we would follow him, and he would make like Santa was still in the house, right? And so as little kids, you just like go off your tree, right? Because he's like, oh, I hear something. And then we run all back upstairs into the room, right? And so this one Christmas, and we're getting a little older, but not old enough to now not believe. And so we're coming down the stairs. My grandparents had stayed over while my grandpa puts his head, just the top of his head, through the door frame with a Santa hat on. And we just like nearly hit the roof, and we ran back upstairs. And it was good fun. So to this day, I still do it with my teenagers. And I get lots of eye rolls as we walk down the stairs. And they're like, Dad, this is lame. I'm like, no, this is tradition. We do this. So pretend that Santa is still there. Anyways, but no, it's a lot of fun.
If I could jump back in, you guys triggered a memory for me, which was that my wife and I, Mel, we actually buy each other Christmas ornaments every year. And when we moved to Scotland, we got like a fish and chips one. I'll hold it to this camera too.
Awesome.
Yeah. Try to get that other camera. Yeah, a fish and chips kind of ornament. And then we were just talking about this. I also got like an English breakfast or Scottish breakfast. So that black stuff right there is supposed to be the English or the black pudding.
Black.
Anyway, that's one of our traditions that we enjoy. And you guys made me think of that. And I texted her and told her to run them up to me quietly.
Nice. That's awesome. Matt, any other Christmas traditions, stories from the Bell phase?
Like we both have German heritage, so we kind of do like Christmas on the 24th is kind of a thing. Right. So that's where we get kind of focused on Christmas pretty squarely on the 24th, and gifts can happen on the 24th. So that's a little bit more of like a German thing. But also that's Mel's birthday. So like there's some weird like and strict strict delineations of like when we go from birthday mode to like Christmas mode. It's literally like at the tick of an hour, you know, it's like, okay, now it's after 5 o'clock, it's Christmas. And like, so it's very, there's a whole rhythm to keep. And that's really like the whole fall winter for us, because like our birthdays both are in the fall and the winter, and then Christmas. And then when we started dating, got engaged and got married, all happens in the winter in like December, January. So we basically just celebrate really hard for 2 months. And then we have like a celebration drought until the next year.
Nice. That's awesome. So no combo gifts then, Matt? You're not doing combo gifts for Mel?
I think I would be in big trouble if I did combo gifts. There is no such thing. I haven't even been introduced to the concept. I think I'm not allowed to even entertain it. So
we December babies are very sensitive about that kind of thing.
Yes, that's right.
No combo gifts.
Right. Oh, that's good. Well, thanks, guys, for that. That's great to share those traditions. Maybe we could now kind of look at ministry. So this is the end of the year. We've had a great year at Prepared to Answer and at Truth Snack. A lot of stuff to praise God for what's happened and what we're excited about for what's coming up. So I was hoping maybe Scott and Matt, you could kind of share some ministry highlights from 2022, and then maybe what you're seeing or what you're looking forward to in 2023.
Yeah, sure. There are probably a few things looking back on 2022. I mean, there's so much going on through the year. There's always highlights for me. I can't always put my finger on one, but part of my work with Prepared to Answer, while we're online a lot, I still do a fair bit of speaking in churches and also with campus groups on universities. And so those are always highlights for me. There's a couple. I had one trip this year up to Timmins and a partner church up there that I spent a weekend with. That was very memorable. Just a great group of people. I enjoyed my time with them. I had some really great discussions, and time with their youth. But also everyone there. But while I was there, in fact, the first night I was doing a seminar with some of their youth leaders, and we had a meal, and the meal was over. We were just chit-chatting, and we were planning to then have the youth group meeting upstairs in their auditorium afterwards. And just moments after, or while we were chatting, one of the youth came running down and said, "There's a fire up in the auditorium." And they rushed upstairs, and sure enough, it was full of smoke. I guess there was an electrical short in one of the lights, and there was literally flames upstairs. It was full of smoke. So next thing I know, the fire department, the kids are out in front of the church, the fire department's there, all kinds of, and we're quickly thinking, okay, now how are we going to get through the rest of the weekend? We had all these plans made. They'd made this kind of plan, this activities around the event and the weekend seminars that I was going to be holding. Anyway, it all worked out. God actually, used that, and that still turned into some really meaningful ministry. We just shifted into their gymnasium and just kind of made it work. So that stands out in one of my memories. for this year. It was a great time ministry, and and then just a chance to spend time with university students, talking to them, hearing. Particularly, I'm speaking to Christian groups that meet on campus, and what I really appreciate is just getting to hear firsthand, some of the real challenges there are for Christian young people studying in a secular university setting. And it just reminds me of, again, of one of the reasons why we do what we do here at Prepared to Answer, just trying to help equip and build confidence for the next generation in terms of standing confidently in their faith. So those are just, no particular instance, but just those are some highlights for me. The other thing that looking back, we were able to release our video series this year, See the World Like Jesus. And aside from that being a huge job, and I was relieved that we finally got it done, it's just nice to be able to produce something and then to see that people are starting to use it. We're still working on marketing that, so here's a shameless plug. If you're looking for a great resource for your small group in the new year, check out See the World Like Jesus.
Like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe. But you know what though? I got an email from a youth leader at a church in our area here that we've worked with, and they used the series kind of for their youth group. They did a 4-week series. And she emailed me afterwards. She wrote, she said, Scott, we just finished your series tonight. Thank you so much for sending that our way. We loved it. It really helped some of our students have a new understanding of the gospel story and certain aspects of it that were for them either redefined or clarified. And that was just music to my ears, because that's why we produced it, really just to help clarify the gospel, the grand story of the Bible for Christians and particularly for the younger generations. So those are some highlights. The other thing that I thought was cool this year is that we had always been hoping to and planning to shift our podcast to not just doing audio, but video. And we finally got to do that. So, you're watching that now.
Yes.
It's a work in progress, but I'm glad at least now we're doing it.
Yes.
And it's been great to have Becca join us this year, because that's made it possible. To have that expertise in editing and all of those things. So those are just a few of the things I look back on. Maybe the other one highlight I'll point out is we did have our fall banquet, and that was that was just a wonderful time. We had a great response. I think it was the best attended banquet we've ever had. I think people, in one sense, people were just glad to, after 2.5 years of COVID. Sequestering. They were glad to be able to get out and have an event like that. Probably the chief comment I heard through the whole evening was, it's just so good to all be together. Anyway, that was just a meaningful time. That was just a unique time where we could personally connect with the many people who generously support our ministry. And that was a real highlight for me.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Matt, maybe we can move to you. So this was the first full year for Truth Snack. It's exciting. Lots of stuff happening in Truth Snack. Maybe you can run us through a couple of those things.
Well, yeah. I mean, I didn't set any churches on fire like Scott did, but
exactly.
Yeah. I mean, just that alone, like, I don't want to jump too quickly past like the reality that I'm actually just doing Truth Snack full time. Like, I remember there was a time when I looked at Mel and just was like, wouldn't it just be so cool if I could just do Truth Snack? And it was like, wow, maybe one day I'll get there. And so just like that, actually, it was January 2022 this year that I, was fully funded and able to just start doing full-time work. So like we're coming up to a full year. So that's been exciting. And then the things that have been really fulfilling for me and the things that I'm most excited about, it's similar to what Scott said in terms of having released a series that is being used by like local ministries, like not local to Scotland, but in local contexts with people face to face. And it is so fulfilling to hear those stories, like Scott, to have people email and say, this series, which is called Faith, Doubt, and Everything in Between, plug. And it's just
subscribe today.
It's just so it's just so great to have leaders and high school teachers and pastors reach out and say that this was meaningful and that their students are grappling with the doubts that they have and where those are coming from and how they could try to resolve them and how they could have confident faith. So that was really fulfilling. It was extra special that a group, at least, and other groups here in Scotland are looking on running that series with their ministry, youth ministry or young adult ministry. And so one Young Life, a ministry here, used the series. And I also see some of the students that attend Young Life at the youth group I help out at. And it was so fun for them to come in and go like, Matt, we saw like one of your videos. Now, all of this was in a Scottish accent, which I can't do. But just imagine it. Matt, we saw one of your videos. I was like, cool. And I didn't know that they were using the series. So I was like, oh, what was it about? And they were like, doubt. And I'm like, they're all about doubt. I was like, which one? And they were like, oh, I don't know. I can't remember. I'm like, okay, fair enough. But it's been really encouraging, honest. It was just extra encouraging to have an in the flesh response from people, particularly students, and it's about ministering to them and their leaders and helping their leaders support them. So that was really fulfilling. And to have that happen independently, like a couple weeks later, another student who hadn't been there came and was like, hey, I saw your videos. They're really good. And that happened a few times. I'm like, I don't think they're colluding with each other. I think they're actually appreciating the series. So that, I mean, that just really warms my heart. So that's, you know, and then just to see the channel growing too. And I think I have right now like 999 subscribers, and not that.
Please, so someone subscribe.
Yeah,
please. If you're listening, you are 1,000 subscriber.
And obviously, you can have a lot of subscribers, and the kingdom of God can still not be built. So that's not the goal,
right?
But it is. I do, because those subscribers kind of come. You know, like I get maybe a subscriber every couple of days or something. They feel like real people to me. And so that's just to think that 1,000 people thought, hey, I want to get involved with adventurous truth seeking so that I can have confident faith. That really touches my heart. And 1,000 people feels like a lot of people. So I try not to blow past that and go, okay, when's 2,000? I'm just like really celebrating that I have the opportunity to reach people. And that's more than 1,000 already feels like more than I ever really imagined when I started.
Yeah. No, that's great. That's great. Thanks, Matt. Scott, maybe what are you looking for in 2023? Where do you see Prepared to Answer going? What is your vision for what Prepared to Answer looks like in 2023?
Yeah, well, I mean, our mission remains the same. So in one sense, we're looking ahead to 2023. We're going to simply be continue to do what we are doing, which is, you know, producing content that helps to equip Christians and you know, help them build confident faith, help them respond to, you know, so many of the challenges that face us in our ever-changing culture as followers of Jesus. I think as I'm looking forward to this year, in terms of, you know, where are we going? This past year, we really, I think, started to get some good traction on, particularly now with, you know, just such a great staff team. We're producing media kind of the way we want to. We're able to produce it at the rate that we would like to. And then just now turning to, I think, continue diving into some of the subject matter, the subjects that really are concerns for Christians and things that Christians want to be able to understand in the light of their faith. You know, our culture just continues to get more and more complex, as well as we look at just the ideological battlefield around us. It just seems to be becoming more and more polarizing. And of course, as Christians, we're called to be salt and light in the midst of that. And so what I'm really looking forward to this year through Prepared to Answer is just diving into more of how can we as Christians not find which side to take, but how do we, in the midst of whatever, you know, side happens to be on one side or the other, how do we shine as lights for Christ? How do we understand and see the gospel clearly in the midst of the culture we're in? Because that's what we're called to do, is to be Christ's ambassadors. So that's kind of directionally in terms of, you know, content and messaging and all of those things. That's where I see us going. What I'm looking forward to is just, again, honing our skills and, just improving the product, if I can use that term, the content that we're producing, be it video or audio. I'm not actually 30 years old, Sean. I want to clear the air. I want to clear the air. I didn't grow up online like others on our team.
Subscribe and like.
Right. And so, I spent years in pastoral ministry. So that's one kind of communication that I'm comfortable with. This is a whole new platform, right? And so I want to try and improve my skills as well. So that's kind of my own personal goal for the year, is just honing and refining that. Yeah, the one other thing I'm looking forward to is each year we try to do, in terms of our content production, there's the week-to-week ebb and flow of just the material we like to put out in terms of our podcasts or articles or whatever. But each year, I also like to focus in on a particular subject that I think is especially relevant for the church in our generation. Last year, we produced our See the World Like Jesus series, which really was kind of an introduction to Christian worldview, seeing the big picture of the Bible story and how our lives and history and everything else fit into it. That was last year. This coming year, I'm really wanting to look into another subject, and we're going to work on a project in terms of creating a series resource for churches, and that's going to be diving into the whole subject of sexuality, which is a huge one, of course, for Christians. It's a huge one in our culture, and I just think it's a critical issue for Christians to be able to understand, and in the light of Scripture, and communicate clearly. And so that's going to be one of our bigger projects, kind of that we're going to be working on throughout the year, and hopefully being able to release maybe even toward the fall. So that's our goal anyway.
Yeah, no, that's exciting. We're looking forward to doing that for sure. Matt, I think you are working on a video right now. Is that right? Is it a series? Or are you working on video? What's coming up for Truth Snack?
Yeah. How far back in the story do I want to go? The short answer is yes.
Yes.
The longer answer is Truth Snack is about helping people be adventurous truth seekers, and adventures necessarily require elements of fear and risk and the unknown. And seeking out the truth has all of that. And so on the channel, I try to do more than just say, hey, here's what I think, or here's the answer. I try to actually embody those journeys. And it's scary for me. I'm putting out videos where I'm going like, oh, I'm still processing this. And I put that out, and I think that resonates with people. And so, this year I'm exploring the idea of how encounters with God can anchor our faith even during times of doubt. And so it's been a wild ride, honestly. And I'm putting out videos and I'm learning and I'm reading a lot, and that whole process is unfolding. And I am hoping at some point in 2023 to release a series specifically about encounter with God, because a lot of doubters, they maybe have tough questions, but it's only amplified by the fact that they feel as though God is far and they're not actually interacting with God. They feel like God is distant, and that makes it all worse. And I kind of started the whole series by bringing up a story of my friend who had a lot of tough questions, but felt as though God was very near. And it was interesting to watch how that was anchoring his faith despite the tough questions he was going through. So I'm just kind of excited to see where that goes, because I don't know, because I'm on the adventure right now, and I have videos planned, but I take detours all the time. So I'm just excited to see what happens, and something will be released before 2023. And there's no episode list yet, and there's no title yet or anything. I'm just kind of in the process of making and trying to share that process online. So discussing, hearing God through the Bible and the barriers we bring to encounter with God and that kind of stuff. It's been a lot of fun, and I'm just excited to see that flower blossom into whatever it will be.
Yeah, no, that's exciting. We're looking forward to that. And so for both channels, so for Truth Snack, best place to find these series, Matt, would that be YouTube?
YouTube.com/TruthSnack.
Okay. And for Prepared to Answer, our podcasts are hosted on our website, as well on Spotify and others, as well as our videos are on Prepared to Answer YouTube channel. Julia and Becca, would this be the first podcast you've ever been on?
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
Yes.
Well done.
Did we do okay?
Yeah,
Fantastic.
You did great. You did fantastic. Do you have any ministry highlights? Do you have any what you're looking forward to next year?
Yeah. I mean, I think Scott kind of touched on all the stuff I was excited about this year and next year. Like the video podcast was something I was able to help with, and it was a lot of fun to get that ready. And then I am excited to help with that new series too, because it's like going from the ground up and I get to help. So I'm excited for that. And excited to see awesome. Where God will take that too. So
yeah, no, it's awesome. And you're probably excited that the construction on our street is pretty well done. And so you did pretty well.
I'm excited about that.
Yeah.
So for those that don't know, Becca spends ample amount of time editing out construction equipment in the background. Yes, lots of beeping.
So also, there's one guy who really likes to do the reverse noise on the street. Yeah, but that's okay. That's okay.
Yeah. So, but you do a phenomenal job at that. So I want to thank all of you for joining us for our festive Prepared to Answer podcast. And as we look to 2023, we're excited about what we have in store. And you know what? Maybe having others join us, Scott, for certain topics. We could maybe mix it up and have Julia, Becca, Matt join us for some topics. I know.
Yeah, I think that's going to be part of our development for the new year too. Is even reaching out and maybe doing a few interviews as well beyond just our own team. In the broader community, when they're topic specific. Matt and I have done a couple of podcasts together that have just when we've wanted to address a couple subjects that we're both interested in, and we'll probably see a little bit more of that as well.
Yeah, no, that's great. I just want to thank everyone for joining us for our festive podcast series. As always, if you have any questions or if you want links to the resources that Scott and Matt have talked about, please contact us at preparedtoanswer.org or info@preparedtoanswer.org. And until next time, Merry Christmas. God bless.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.